Been gardening for years, and there are only really two fertilizers you need to have a successful garden. Whether it's a flower garden, raised bed, in-ground, does not matter. There's been a problem recently with YouTubers promoting different products. I mean, things like worm casting tea and other things that are ridiculously expensive, and sure, while they may be beneficial to the soil, they are not absolutely necessary to have a successful garden. So the first thing you need to have a slow release organic fertilizer. This is just an example, Dr. Earth. I got this on sale at the end of year, but the soil microbes start to break this down, and usually it is completely broken down within 4 to 6 weeks. And as you can see on the bag, you want to make sure it's close to a 555. This is a 463, and you know, they're all pretty much the same if you look at them. As this one is fish bone meal, feather meal, alfalfa meal, potassium sorbate, fish meal, kelp meal, rock phosphate, and kelp flour. Usually they have a little bit of like mycorrhizae and other bacteria that are supposed to help the soil, but I never look at that. These probably are all killed off because if any of these fertilizers have been stored in heat, these immediately get cooked and they're not useful anymore. So just look and make sure it's organic and be sure it's close to a 555. But that is the first thing, and really that takes care of your slow release. The second thing, a quick release or water soluble fertilizer. As you can see here, I have my homemade fish fertilizer here. If you want to know how to make it for less than $4 a gallon, be sure to check out the video there. But all you can do is just pour a couple ounces in a thing of water. Same with the Miracle-Gro. You know, some people don't like using Miracle-Gro, but if you use it in the proper concentrations and you don't overfeed, it does not harm soil life and soil bacteria. So I like to use the balanced Miracle-Gro. This is the tomato one, 18-18-21. You can use the all-purpose when you're first getting started out, which is the 24-8-16. And you can always feed at half rate if you want to do that. The Alaska Fish Fertilizer is a 5-1-1, but there are also other brands out there that are like a 3-3-2 or 3-1-1. I think the Alaska one is the best deal, especially on Amazon. You can usually find it for about $21 a gallon, which isn't a terrible price considering Home Depot and Lowe's are now about $30 a gallon, and other brands such as like Neptune's Harvest are like $50 a gallon, which is ridiculous, and you don't need to spend that much. This is these are the only two fertilizers you need: a slow release and a fast release. But there are a couple of bonus tips and bonus fertilizers that will help. Bone meal. This is rocket fuel. I did a test between mycorrhizae and bone meal, and bone meal clearly and definitely won. So you don't need to get mycorrhizae. A lot of people and a lot of gardeners promote that as part of some sort of miracle cure for transplant shock and etc. Well, bone meal and watering in with a water soluble will cure any of that transplant shock. No need to get any mycorrhizal fungi. But bone meal is a great source of phosphorus. As you can see here, it is a 214-0, and also is a great source of calcium, which is great for tomatoes, especially in the summer, and it helps to prevent a little bit of blossom end rot. So bone meal will get you lots of fruit, lots of flowers because of that extra phosphorus, but also you can use a little something like Alaska More Bloom or the Miracle-Gro Bloom Booster. Those will do pretty much the same thing. I do like the Miracle-Gro Bloom Booster. That is a 10-52-10. Just use it at half strength and you'll be fine. But again, something that will help to promote bloom. I do like to use this especially on flowers. It seems to do really, really, really good. And then the third bonus is a blood meal. This is basically used at the beginning of the season. I only apply it once, about 6 weeks before I plan on planting anything out into the garden, because this will have a chance to break down some of that nitrogen. As you can see, it's a 12-0-0, and springtime is the only time of year I would apply this, unless you're growing a bunch of leafy greens like lettuces, kales all year. Then you can go ahead and apply this every 6 weeks or so. And then the final thing is just some sort of seaweed or sea kelp amendment. Like this one here is a 1-2-18 from Blue Planet Nutrients. It is a seaweed amendment, and it's got a bunch of micronutrients as well, including cytokinins and auxins. It does seem to help additionally with transplant shock, and it helps the vigor of the plant. So we can see that, and they have a liquid form as well, but I find that the powder form is much more economical, easier to store, and shelf stable for many, many years. So that is really all the bonuses, you got 4 bonuses. You really don't need to buy anything like worm casting tea, compost tea, you know, those micronutrient things, because micronutrients are really well found in seaweed. You want a bloom booster, get either more bloom or the Miracle-Gro bloom booster, or anything that says bloom booster. Bone meal will also help, because this is more of a slow release bloom booster, so to speak. But really, if you're just starting out, like I said, or if you want to go minimalistic, all you need is 1 fast release, 1 slow release. Technically 2 fast release if you like to use Miracle-Gro, but whatever, it is up to you. So I hope you like this video and really got something out of it. You know, these are basically all I would ever use in the garden. There is no need for anything else fancy. Sometimes I do like to use a little bit of worm castings, but that technically isn't a fertilizer. Other than that, these are really all you need in the everyday garden. Even if you have a large garden, these are the only things you really need to help feed your soil, feed your plants, and get them off so you can have the best and a most abundant harvest. You do want to see those results on bone meal versus mycorrhizae, which is not included because it technically isn't a fertilizer and it didn't do excellent compared to bone meal. You need to check out this video now to see my experiment and also see if you agree with my results or what you think about mycorrhizae.